Washington.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman from Washington is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I too rise in strong opposition to this amendment, and I do appreciate the gentlelady's concerns, particularly about science funding. However, Mr. Chairman, increasing funding for optional programs, as valuable as they may be, cannot come at the expense of the federal government meeting its legal obligations to clean up the waste created by our nation's nuclear defense programs. And I might add, Mr. Chairman, these are programs that won World War II and largely won the Cold War. At Hanford, in my district, the federal government has 56 million gallons of radioactive waste stored in 177 underground tanks. Today, it appears likely that some of these tanks are leaking, and higher levels of contamination have now been detected in the area surrounding one of the most recent leakers. In addition, there is also a large quantity of radioactive waste at Hanford that was never put into tanks. That too must be dealt with, as well as nuclear waste at other sites across the country like Savannah River, Oak Ridge, and Idaho. Again, nuclear waste was created by programs of the federal government for defense purposes. Cutting $1.7 million from the EM program would essentially halt most nuclear waste cleanup work, and it would put safety of our cleanup sites at risk and any chance of the federal government meeting its existing legal cleanup commitments to the states. Mr. Chairman, let me be more specific about Hanford. I mentioned 56 million gallons of nuclear/hazardous waste stored in 177 underground tanks. Those tanks range in size from 500,000 gallons to 1 million gallons. Now, when you go out to the site, of course, you can't see the tanks because they're underground. All you see is gauges on top that monitor what activity is going on in those tanks. So if you want to quantify how much 56 million gallons is, picture this. If you want to put 56 million gallons here, it would take over 21 House chambers, to fill 56 million gallons of waste. That's how much radioactive waste is at Hanford that needs to be cleaned up. It's the result of the Defense Weapons Program. Now, distinguished subcommittee chairman and I and others have mentioned the legal obligation. In Washington State, that legal obligation is called the Tri-Party Agreement. It has set deadlines for cleaning up Hanford, including the waste that I just mentioned. But it's a legal agreement between the federal EPA, between the federal Department of Energy, and between the State Department of Ecology. It's a legal agreement with timelines. And if you don't meet the agreements, of course, you're going to be sued. And every time there has been a threat to be sued or a disagreement on the timelines, the state has always won. So why would we want to defund this program and put all of that at risk, which of course would cost a whole lot more money in the future? So while I recognize the gentlelady and her passion for science funding, and I too understand that, I have a national lab in my district, for example, 56 million gallons, or over 21 House chambers, of radiohazardous waste needs to be cleaned up, and it's the responsibility of the federal government. So I oppose the gentlelady's amendment. Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.
Yields back his time.